Y'all making me go after my baby girl 50 times harder. So I done already sent the message to baby mama number 2, Miss Vegan. You have 2 weeks to produce my child, who you've been keeping from me while I've been paying child support. Just like baby mom number 1 collected my child support, denying me my child. So baby mama number 2, we talking to Miss Vegan right now. The eclipse of March 29th. You have until my Florida A&M University Black Psychology Conference return to produce my baby. If I do not meet and see my child by Saturday, March 29th, Mrs. Vegan, I will be going live and I'm going to tell the whole world information you don't want them to know. And Mrs. Vegan, I don't want to put your business in the streets. You are the mother of my beautiful African princess. You are the mother of my beautiful African princess. And I respect you, Miss Vegan. I respect you. But you are not going to deny me my child anymore. We have a child support hearing coming up because you want more money. No problem. No problem. I will be at the child support hearing. But we're not talking about child support right now. We're talking about a relationship between the prince and the princess. About a relationship between Queen Kong and King Kong. I better see my baby in the next 2 weeks. You better text me, date, time, place. And once I see my child, you and I will schedule uninterrupted visits. Not in your house. We're not doing grandmama couch no more. I'm taking my daughter out with me, and she's going to spend quality time with me. She's going to go on the road with me. She's going to Africa with me. She's going to London with me. She's going to Jamaica with me. We're going to create a custody agreement outside of the white man. Oh, yes. Black self-determination.
Anti-Afro, Spingalies. I had to let everybody hear what we're dealing with. Now, there might be new people on the scene, but by no means is this new material. Is this a new approach? Is what Umar Johnson's saying new? Absolutely not. Does it make it any less serious? Absolutely not. Does it need to be addressed? You better believe it does. Blackmail and extortion are criminal acts. Who knows what Umar Johnson has done off social media? One thing we do know, for damn sure, he has a long established history of threatening people with violence, threatening to do all kinds of things to people if they do not kowtow to his demands. That is called blackmail. That is called extortion. Umar Johnson will threaten whoever he feels is trying to stop him from engaging in whatever the hell he wants to do, no matter how illegal it is. Umar Johnson threatened me. He threatened to pull up on me. What is pulling up on someone? Isn't that violence? Umar Johnson threatened me. Umar Johnson threatened many of my friends. He threatened Rev G. He threatened how many people? He's posted it online. I'm going to F you up. Umar Johnson has sent his entire social media following after me, after Rev G, after so many people spoke the truth about him. And what is Umar Johnson doing now? Again, sending his entire social media following after his own damn family. He did it to his own father. His father received death threats because Umar Johnson didn't like what his father was doing. People started threatening Umar Johnson's father. Umar Johnson's father came online addressing it. Umar Johnson didn't say, stop threatening my dad. What the hell are you doing? We don't agree, but you shouldn't be threatening my pops. No. Umar Johnson doesn't give a damn if anything happened to anyone in his family. He doesn't give a damn. Quit thinking, people, it's a societal myth because you share blood with someone that you give a damn. You don't have to give a damn about anybody who you don't want to give a damn about. And Umar Johnson has proven that time and time again. Just think of the back alley reference. Go in a back alley in the dead dark of the night and have sex with somebody, produce a child. Are you going to give a damn? No. What is the difference between Umar Johnson and that scenario that I just relayed? Nothing. Nothing. Umar Johnson is embarrassed. He's humiliated. So he is doing what he always does. He's becoming threatening. He's becoming abusive. Does anybody think this is the first time Umar Johnson has acted this way? I became aware of Umar Johnson back in 2014. He was doing the same damn thing. There were people that I encountered who knew Umar Johnson through the circuit. He was going all around the country. He was extremely aggressive in his approach to trying to bag these women. I'm not sitting here and accusing Umar Johnson of RAPE. Let's get that straight. But he was very persistent and very forceful, not wanting to take no for an answer. It was very clear he wanted what he wanted. And left women feeling that, hey, this is not going to work out. I can put stuff out on you. When women didn't want to be with Umar Johnson, he became very angry, very persistent, very retaliatory. And when brothers approached him and said, hey, Umar, you're coming on too strong, he kicked them off the circuit, didn't want them around. He did not want anybody telling anyone that he needs to have boundaries. And here we are again, up here commanding a mother that she must produce a child who in all likelihood has never even laid eyes on Umar in the flesh, I venture to say. You're going to force this child without court intervention to see Umar Johnson, or else that is called blackmail. That's blackmail. That's a crime. No parent in their right mind would agree to anything like this. Now listen, I'm not saying there aren't parents out there who do, and I want to make sure it's clear. I am not going to say mother would do this or father. It doesn't matter which parent. It will be mother or father. Responsible, protective parents don't move like this. What the parent needs to do in a situation like this is get the court involved. He's up here saying, without the white man, what he's trying to say is you better not get anybody involved. You better not call the police. This is another threat. Umar Johnson is feeling powerless. How much more or less power can you feel other than to have your 22-year-old daughter get on YouTube and clown you? I can't even relate to this. And I work in this business. That's because when I'm on the clock, so to speak, the mental clock, I'll say, I'm in a whole different realm. I don't even allow children to act like this with their parents. I don't command them not to do that, but the setup doesn't allow it. But she's up here clowning Umar, and he has no control over the situation. Umar loves to feel, even if he's kidding himself, he loves to feel that he's in control. He can't even play it off. Umar can't play it off. He was able to play it off before because nobody's made an appearance in his family. His father. And what did Umar do? Clowned his father. Disrespected his father. It's very different now. This is a whole different feel. People are buying in to what this young lady is saying, although she's acting with somewhat of a lack of restraint, shall I say. She's hitting nerves all over the place. It is very different. I don't care what anybody says. We can try to pretend. We can act like it doesn't exist. There are fixed rules when it comes to gender. You can pass any kind of law you want. There are certain expectations of women versus men. And there's something that hits quite differently when a woman is clowning a man. And it's 100 million times worse when a daughter clowns her father. I can't even get my head in that. There is no way I can even, in my worst of nightmares, even put myself in a situation to think I could have ever clowned my father for, I can't even imagine it. She's clowning Umar, her father. And it doesn't matter what I said at the beginning at this point, because we all still, to some degree, buy into that societal myth that blood matters. Although, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, it actually doesn't. It depends on what you decide to do with the relationship. Ask yourselves, what happened between 2018 and 2025? We know that there's another part to the story, but Umar, again, has banked on the fact that nobody was going to appear and give information. Now, Umar's partially lucky because he lives in a state where family court records are not accessible to the public. However, if the person involved in the case decides to give their records to somebody else, they can do that, their records. So that's an avenue to find out exactly what happened in that courthouse. It's not sealed. Now, if a record is sealed, that would be illegal. But if you are involved with a court case, custody case, whatever, and you say, hey, my friend, I went to court today, and this is our custody or divorce papers, I'm going to give them to you. You have a right to do that. But if the record is sealed and you go into the courthouse and say, hey, man, I know these records are sealed. Can you get me these records? That's a crime. See, Umar was banking on the fact that nobody had the name of any of the mothers of these children. Now, the first case of the 22-year-old here that we hear of, that is no longer available on the docket on the Pennsylvania child support. There are a few of us who have that information. But I did hear Umar Johnson's daughter make a couple of statements. I'm not going to repeat them. And Umar seems to think that he has some leverage left, but that leverage is quickly fading. There are a lot more people who are speaking out, a lot older, a lot wiser, and they absolutely trump 15 years younger, 20 years younger, wet behind the ears, giddy females who think they're going to shut everyone else down. That's not going to work. Folks are fed up with this fraud community. Look at all the videos that people are posting in live streams about fraud, affinity fraud in our community. Just 5 years ago, this was unheard of. It's unprecedented. We are freaking fed up with this garbage. Umar Johnson already received a cease and desist order. Just like the PPP loan, fraud folks thought they're home free. They skated until the feds came a knocking 4 and 5 years later, or 3 or 4 years later, however you want to put it. Umar Johnson has the order. He ignored the order. He continued to collect money for a school that never has and never will exist. He is going to have to answer to that. This is all electronic, 95% of it. He's going to have to answer. He has submitted, I'm sure some of you saw, his 990s. He's not even following the regulations for nonprofits. You can't be a sole person working on a nonprofit. It requires a board of directors. He has benefited. Individual benefit from a nonprofit is illegal. Don't worry, folks. We're getting there. And unfortunately, because a legacy of our people buying hook, line, and sinker this affinity fraud bullshit It's why Umar Johnson has gone on for as long as he has, but that's okay. And I say that's okay because that's just more evidence that will be against Umar. But to get on the international airways in front of the world and perpetrate the crime of blackmail is something Umar Johnson is going to have to answer to. I wouldn't want to be standing up on a podium doing a hyena yelp, and here come the authorities hauling me out of some facility because I threatened somebody. If you don't do this, you don't produce my child. That's actually coming close to freaking kidnapping, isn't it? Without the court's intervention, he didn't say we have a schedule that the court has told us that we must follow. He's saying without the white man. He's not citing that there's a court order in place. And had there been, he could have been contacting law enforcement. See, Umar is full of crap. He thinks he is above everyone else's expectation. The expectation specifically is knowing what time it is. What time it is recognizing that Umar Johnson gets his behind up in the Philadelphia County Courthouse whenever he sees driver's license revocation, whenever he sees warrant out for your arrest, whenever he sees contempt of court. And you can pretty much guarantee he's got these notifications coming on his phone. So it doesn't matter where Umar Johnson goes, anywhere. He likes to brag about going to these different places across the waters overseas. Whatever the case, he's beholden to the laws of the United States of America like we are. If you're living in this country, it's not going to make any difference what he says on YouTube. All this tough talking that we know people, it's not even tough talking. He's sweating beads and bullets. A daughter who was 30 years younger is making him sweat on YouTube, and he's up there trying to convince himself that he's holding cards, making threats. Blackmail, extortion are criminal acts. He thinks he can do this under this non-existent code bullshit. And you can do my deal without the court. Umar needs to have his ass hauled out of that courthouse and placed under arrest for blackmail and extortion. And let's see how many of those so-called Umar Johnson sector freaks who talk about they care about Umar Johnson's daughter. How many of them are going to do anything about what Umar Johnson has said, the threats that he made? All that money they made off of Umar Johnson and his daughter, are they going to do anything after Umar Johnson has made these threats? We already know the answer to that. All they want is to go ahead, put their money apps on the screen, try to get Umar Johnson's daughter to go to their channel so they can make money for themselves, which is what they've been doing the whole time. Have you seen the GoFundMe up yet? All I saw was Lyndon Honor going to Sneak Panel, probably to use other people's resources and collect more money for himself. But we'll continue to try to see if Lyndon will do the right thing. Others need to do the right thing. Made enough money off of Umar Johnson's daughter, talking about her child support issues, the struggles that she encountered trying to get what was due to her. But we've got a much larger issue. Are they going to do anything about Umar Johnson's daughters and their mothers being threatened? That seems to be a priority right now. We'll wait and see what happens. Oh, I could say much more than I'm saying now, but for now, I'll just hold off. Listen, folks, one thing you must never, ever falter on. That's heeding the warning. Buyer beware.